First off, excuse the band. We got some people partying out back here on the ranch, having a little bit of a party. So, a little bit of ambiance tracks behind. Atrás that means behind in Spanish. My bad. Point being, how did Diablo get his name? You know, on my kids, I gave him the name. Now, for those of you who don't know, this is someone who later on ended up becoming my compadre, in the worst way, as well as me, and ended up giving me a hug after he killed him and made up some story. Now, we're going to get into exactly what happened. So, at the time, gasoline was a big deal. Like gasoline thefts. They'd go to the Pemex ducts where the gasoline runs and the big pipelines that run through the countryside, and they tap into it with a hermetic seal and take a bunch out, fill up the tanker worth a lot of money. It's like liquid gold. Now, one of the tanker trucks they've been using, I think it had some type of problem with like maybe the suspension or something like that from all the weight from the gasoline, and the roads are really rough. These are like beat up roads, right? And a lot of these trucks aren't exactly designed for this. So it needed body work done below, like with the torch, some type of welding. I'm not a mechanic, so I couldn't even tell you what needed welding or how. I just know like the structure of the car was damaged, if something was damaged, and they needed to get under there and weld it. Now, in the case of doing so, they made the mistake, the very bad mistake, I might say, at welding and there's gas, I guess, in the line, from my understanding. Like I said, I'm not a mechanic. That's not my specialty. Beautiful blade. A little prop while we're telling the story about that. And point being, there's still gas in the line. Now, dude was working under the car, and like I said, there's the gas line, right, that runs gas to the motor. Now, for some reason, they didn't take out the line or drain it, or I'm not sure. Like I said, I'm not a mechanic. But what did happen is while he was under there working, the truck blew up because the gas in the line, and who knows what else caught. Maybe there was fumes still inside the actual tank. I'm not sure what happened, but it blew up and blew up to the point that the whole front of the house looked like it got hit with like an M203. It looked like it got hit with like a grenade launcher and just took it apart. Now, this is Diablo's house, okay? At this time, he's not named Diablo, okay? He was actually using like his government name, but actually an abbreviation of it. That I don't even feel like saying just because his family didn't do anything wrong, and I'm not gonna put his name out there just to burn them. So he had kids and everything. Like, come on. Now, point being, everything got destroyed. Now, when this happened, my compadre, Egisuno, he felt responsible because he was the one who sent the gas truck. He's the one who sent the guy who was working there on it, and he was the one, who was they were using Diablo's property at his ranch to run this business, and well, something bad happened, and dude actually died in welding it, and then on top of that, it was such a large explosion, and this is a community like mine, like you're not neighbors like that, but you know, you can hear the next ranch over. It's probably half a mile, something like that, a little bit longer. Point being, communities like that, when there's an explosion that big, people hear it. I think a lot of people assumed a grenade was thrown into the front of his house, just from how it looked and from the size of the explosion. So what ended up happening is the soldiers ended up coming, and they didn't believe the whole truck thing. They saw the truck pulling up at the front of the house, and I think they thought a grenade got thrown, or a couple grenades got shot out of like a grenade launcher, one at the truck, one at the front of the house. But that was not what was happening. It really was. I like to say an innocent like, explosion or accident, but obviously, they were doing something illegal. It's gasoline theft. Um, it went wrong and exploded, blew up the front of his house. Now, this is how it got Diablo gets into his name. Now, you see, when this happened, it destroyed the gasoline truck, right? It destroyed the whole front of his house, and a lot of his furniture, just things were just destroyed. There was like bits of shrapnel that flew off from the truck and inside of the house, all through everything, the TV, everything you can imagine, had little pieces of metal or pieces of wall, and just completely destroyed. On top of that, his truck was parked in front of his house. It was a Ford. It wasn't brand new, but it was a Ford. Now, my compadre, he fixes the whole front of the house, buys him all new furniture, okay, and then buys him a brand new truck right off in the agency, and it was a Ford Diablo. It had the word Diablo on the side of it. It was like a special edition Ford. Like we have like the F-150 something super whatever. This was the Ford Diablo. I think it was like his version of F-150, but it's a little souped up, a little different. Now, at this time, I was living in an area, and Diablo was coming like daily, and we were doing something. And the people who lived there in the area started to see him, and just because they'd see him constantly and see me talking to him and so he's in the neighborhood, they knew his name. Now, I didn't like that because obviously I didn't like people knowing his actual name, considering he uses government name, even though it's an abbreviation. It would be like, somebody being named Robert being called Bob or something. It's too obvious. So it just occurred to me when I was looking at the truck that we just gave him, my father's gave him Diablo, and it stuck. You know, from then on, people ask his name, I'd say it's Diablo. And on top of that, it said on the side of the truck, so I think some people assumed like he had it painted on the truck for his name, but it was actually there, and I gave him the damn name. It really stuck, and what's crazy is it really went extremely well with his personality later on. He wasn't always as evil and bloodthirsty as he was at one time. I'll tell you that. He wasn't always like that. He was very loyal, and I considered him a friend. If you guys want the truth, he used to come to my house and bring stuffed animals to my kids. Almost every morning he'd come by. That's when I told him we had to change his name because he was coming by all the time. People were getting to know him. He used to bring stuffed animals to my kids. That's the kind of person he was. And that wasn't just being a suck up or anything like that to me at all. He had no reason to suck up to me. The organization I was part of doesn't have suck ups. That was just him being kind to me and my family. And he honestly, between me and him, he was always nice to me. You know, um, there might have been some things that happened and I'm suspicious of that I can't prove. But what I do know that was wrong was obviously killing my compadre, and that's why I have a hatred for him. It was nothing he did to me and specifically like that, but the fact he killed my compadre, my best friend, my dude, well, it is what it is. Um, he himself is in the ground. You know, I know several people who witnessed, you could say, his demise, and he's definitely dead, 100%. In fact, he's not. Mm, in miles, I'd say between 3 or 4 miles from where I'm at right now in the dirt. Nice long dirt nap. Now, unfortunately, that's what happens to everybody in that life. You see, it all catches up to everybody. Eventually, you will find prison, death, or bad health, or all of them. As in my case, got locked up. I lost my health for a long time. Those who've watched the previous 5 channels I've had several operations, brutal bullet fragments, lots of other things. Yeah, and death, doesn't always come to you thinking you're gonna die. It's not exactly the case. It can come and take someone you love, like my compadre. So that's how I got prison, death, and bad health all at the same time. And don't think it can't happen to you, and it can happen to you worse. Alright? I consider myself very fortunate the way the events turned out that I'm still breathing, and I'm here to able to share this story with you guys. Hopefully, one person at least learns from this, grabs what I'm talking about, and soaks it in like a sponge. Because I wish I had someone to tell me exactly the story, and I could have been the one that would have listened, maybe. Who knows? But either way, I'm grateful to be here and grateful to have each and every one of you listening. Please consider becoming a member, as a lot of these videos don't get monetized. That really helps this channel keep going. As well as leaving a comment below. Let me know what you think about the whole name of Diablo, how he got his name. Smash on that like button. I appreciate it. And subscribe if you haven't already. You like see 2, 3 uploads a day, sometimes more, sometimes reality based, sometimes stories, depends. we switch it up a lot here, so I like to keep the variety up. I wish each and every one of you a superb morning, afternoon, or night, wherever you are in the world. Adiós, amigos. Sale, vale. Hasta la próxima. Ya te la sabes.